In this tutorial, I will show you how to take an online text and put it into a Google Slide presentation so that you can have a text and a graphic organizer on the same screen instead of having to go back and forth. Now, the problem that I'm describing, I'm going to use Wonders just for an example, is you'll have your text here and then you'll ask your students to fill in a graphic organizer. So if you have that graphic organizer right here and you say, who is the character? Let's read back in the story. They don't have the story in front of them. So then you're going to have to go back and forth between the screens like this and say, all right, read this and then tell me who the character is. It's just a lot of going back and forth. It's not very smooth. And it makes it difficult for the students to find text evidence and so on. So what we're going to do is open up a Google slide. And I already had a Google slide prepped over here. All I did was create a new Google slide and I named it. Now you might have some text boxes like these. I'm going to hover over until I see the 4 arrows, click on it, and then delete because I don't want those. So now I need to look and see what type of graphic organizer I need. So I look back here and I see they want a character setting and then sequence graphic organizer. So it's just got 5 boxes. So because it's just a straight down graphic organizer, I'm just going to insert a table. And then I'm going to have 5 rows. Now, you see that it's got this blue outside line around it. That means that I can manipulate it. I can grab it, see how the arrows have come up when I hover over the corners. So I'm going to grab that and shrink it down and make it fit half the page. Because on the other side, is where my text is going to go. Now, also, I'm going to do the basics of the basics for the first part of the presentation. And then at the end, I'll show you how to go back and make it nicer looking. So one thing, this technically goes along with aesthetics. However, I don't like that it's gray. It makes it difficult to see for the kids. So I do feel we need to make this border darker. So I need to make sure that I'm clicked on here. So you want that blue outside line. Then you're going to go to this pencil with the gray underneath it. That's your border color. So I am going to make that black and I am going to make that thicker. So you click on your border color up here, but these thick lines, that border weight, that's how thick your line is. And I like a nice thick border so my students can really see the difference for each one. So I look back at my graphic organizer, it's character setting, beginning, middle, end. I come over here, character setting, beginning, middle, end. So this is what I tell my students. We're going to get ready to read this. So I need to pull the text that goes with this character because I want my students to be able to find the text evidence. So I come over to my text. And again, you can use any text. I used Wonders. And then I'm going to zoom in because right now, if I clipped from here, it's going to be really hard to read because whatever I pull from or screenshot from, that's what it's going to look like in my graphic organizer. And if I try to zoom in, it's going to, or not in my graphic organizer, in my presentation. And if I zoom in, it's going to get fuzzy. So it's better to zoom in here than later. So that's a good size for my kids to be able to read. So the tool that you're going to need if you're using a Windows computer is called the snipping tool. There are ways to do it with a Chromebook. There's ways to do it with a Mac. I have a Windows computer. I don't know anything about Mac. And the Chromebooks, I looked it up, but I can't quite remember it off the top of my head. So you can just look that up on Google, how to snip using a Chromebook. So I'm going to come over here to my start program and I'm going to search for the snipping tool and it pops up relatively quickly. Now the snipping tool is moving apparently, but for now, the snipping tool. You're going to hit this new snip right there. Once I hit that, my screen will kind of turn gray. That means it's getting ready to cut. So I'm going to take this plus sign and I'm going to make a box around all the text that I want. I cut it a little close on the left there, but that's all right. So I want all of this text because that's what the students need to find the character and the setting. And you see now it has it in here. You can hit save. You can write on here like that. I personally don't like to do any of that because now look, it's a pain to erase. You got to click right on it. And I'm just going to leave that. I don't do any of that. All I do is it automatically copies when you do it that way. So I'm just going to go back to my presentation and I'm going to right click, or when if you're using a touchpad, you just touch with 2 fingers, and I'm going to hit paste. And all of a sudden we have that text right there. So in order, I would ask my students, what is the character and what is the setting? And that is just a basic way to get it. Now I'm going to get into how to make it look nicer. Okay, the very first thing that I would do is if I am doing this presentation, I don't want to have to go in each time and do this. This is a lot of manipulation that I would rather not do in the middle of a lesson. It takes time. I have to have this toolbar visible. I'd rather have it in present mode and be able to add these things or have these things already prepped for me. So what you can do is first you have to insert a line. So these lines show my text evidence. So I'm going to click on this drop arrow. You can either do it up here, insert line. I just use this toolbar. Your toolbar might be hidden over here. If you can't see any of that, that's because this little arrow over here is hiding it. So I'm going to click on that and I'm going to underline it. But if you're presenting, and I always like to make it red, so I come up to this line color and I'm going to make it red and I'm going to make it thick so it stands out to my students. So if the kids look at this as we're going, they're going to already know the answer. They're going to already know the text evidence, and I don't want that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight it. I'm going to wait till, or I'm going to hover over it and I can see that it's highlighted now. And I'm going to do insert animation. Animation is when things move on your screen. So when I insert animation, this sidebar pops up over here and it tells you how you want it to come in. I don't mess with this. I mean, you can get really fancy, but I just don't have time to mess with that when I'm making these presentations. You could have it fly in, fade out, disappear, whatever. I just have it fade in. Then you can have it fade in on a click or immediately after previous. I always like to do it on a click. So I hit the space bar or the arrows and it makes everything pop up automatically. Now, if I wanted to delete it because I didn't mean to add that animation, I could delete that here. But if you hit play down here, now you'll see this is what the students will see at first. And that line won't pop up until I hit the space bar. Watch. All of a sudden that line is there. So they know the text evidence is Princess Paulina. And so you can automatically go in and type that after the students give you that. Or if that were me, I would insert and have it prepped again. So I've got my text evidence first. So now that I've got my text evidence, I'd say, okay, let's put that into our chart. So I come over here into my chart and I'm going to either do a text box or a word art, whichever you prefer. I'm probably just going to be simple and do a text box. So I'm going to have a text box on top of here with the answer in. And then I'm going to have it animated. Princess Paulina. Ooh, Paulina is our, and I'm going to make that a little bit bigger. I'm going to make it centered. Because even though it's basic, it's got to look nice. All right, so now, right now, if I played that, the answer is already going to be there. So I'm going to hit stop. And what I need to do is select that text box. And if you didn't see this sidebar, this motion sidebar, if that went away, you would do it the same way you did the other one. Insert animation. And because I already had it highlighted, look, it popped up and it tells me Princess Paulina. Kind of gives you a little bit of a preview of what you're adding. I'm going to delete it and show you if this is already up. See how I deleted it? It went away. So now we just have the line. So if the motion sidebar is already up, all you need to do to add the animation is highlight and hit this button, add animation. And if you want to change how it's animated, maybe you do want it to fly in from the top. Then you hit play, and this is what it's going to look like for the kids. So first it's blank, you hit the space bar and your text evidence comes up, then it flies in. That might be exciting for your students. Okay, so now I'm looking for my next text evidence. I need the setting. Well, I know the setting was in a village. Let's see, was it on this one? Nope. All right, so it's not on this one. So that means I need to snip it again. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this entire page because I don't want my graphic organizer to go away. And I am going to duplicate this page. You can either duplicate it or you can just add a new one and then copy and paste your graphic organizer. But I like to duplicate so then I don't have to mess with stuff. So now I already have Princess Paulina in there. But remember, we animated this. If you look, it's already in there. But when we go to this slide, I don't want it to be animated again. They should already know that. So I'm going to delete this one. And same with this text evidence. I'm going to delete that. Or I'm going to, delete the animation because I want it to just be there. So when we see our screen, it would just look like this. So they've already got that there. Now I need to add a new paragraph. So because this paragraph was short, I can just add it underneath. If I didn't have space, I would need to select that, delete, select that, delete, and just put my new paragraph right there. If you wanted to have both, you could, but I'm going to leave it simple. So now I see my text evidence on here, so I'm going to snip it again. So if you don't remember, you come in here, you type your snipping tool, new, and you're going to snip right there. Drag that around, and now it's already been copied. And then you're going to paste it into your graphic organizer. And it's a little bit big, so I need to shrink it just a little bit. Perfect. All right, so now I need text evidence for the setting. So once again, I'm going to insert my line. So come over here, find my line, and I need to find my text evidence. So she's waving to the townspeople on her cart. So I'm going to surveying the kingdoms. We're going to say this is our text evidence. It's not the best text evidence, but for this tutorial, it will be. So I don't like that it's black. I want it to really pop. So I'm going to highlight it, come up here to line color, make it red, and I'm going to make it thick. Okay. But again, I don't want that. If I were to present, I don't want that answer, that text evidence to pop up already. So I'm going to highlight it, insert animation. Okay, and now you'll see my animation is there. If I want to get fancy, I can put fly in from right. All right, so now I need to put my answer into my graphic organizer. Again, you could just type it in while you're teaching live, or I recommend just going ahead and inserting a text box. And you're going to do the same thing you did with Princess Paulina. It's the village. Village a long time ago. And I want to make that bigger, so I highlight it, make it bigger that way. Now, I don't want that answer. This is what it's going to look like when I turn the page. I don't want that answer to be up there already. So I'm going to hover over it and make it till the 4 lines are up there. And then I'm going to add animation. You could do it insert, add animation that way, or you could, because you've already got your motion thing up here, you can add animation that way. And I'm going to zoom in. Sure. I actually didn't like that this was flying and I thought that was too distracting. So I'm just going to put fade in. Okay. So then I always want to check and see what it looks like for the students. So I'm going to go ahead and see. All right. It's just blank. It's just got the character and the correct paragraph now. So then I hit my space bar and my text evidence comes up. Then I hit my space bar again. And now I've got my next piece to my graphic organizer. And that is how you do it. And you would go to the next one and just snip. You could duplicate your slide. And you could delete the paragraph, go to the next page. I'm not sure what the next page is off the top of my head. Let's say it's this one. Let's say I'm going to snip this part. I'm going to hit new snip. Let's say this is the text evidence. I'm going to come to my presentation and I'm going to right click and hit paste. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger for the kids to see, which means I might need to make this a little bit smaller because this one is a longer one. And then I'm going to make up some text evidence about what is going on in the beginning. I'm going to underline that. After I insert that line, I'm going to change it to red. Or maybe you want to change it to blue. If you want to color code blue for beginning, I change it to blue, make it thick. And now I need to add animation so that they don't see it right away. So I'm going to click on that, insert, animation. And I'm just going to have it fade in because I didn't like it before. And you know what? I almost forgot to get rid of that. Look, if I look above it, there's already animation right there in the word the. So if I don't know what that is, I click on it and it highlights that. I don't want that to be animated anymore because remember, we already figured that out on the slide before. So I'm going to delete that. So now it's only this part that's going to fade in. So if we look and see, this is what students will see when they come in. And then when I hit that, that's when it comes in. And then I'm going to put my answer. I'm going to insert a text box again to the beginning. And I'm going to make it up. She wants to get back to princessing. This is a pretty fun story if you've never read it. And then I'm going to add the animation here. And this one I will do a spin. And so I want to see what my students are going to see. So I go to play. And this is what it'll look like. Uh-oh. Why didn't let's see. Oh, because it's spin. When you spin, it's already going to be on there. So I don't want spin. See, that's why you always got to check. So I'm going to stop and I'm going to fix that. So I'm going to make sure my wants to get back to princessing text box is highlighted. And I'm going to change that to fly out. Oh, no, I don't want fly out. That means it'll start there again. I'm going to put fly in. You always want in. Fly in from top, fly in from right, sure. Okay, so now I hit play and I see what it's going to look like. Okay, this is what the kids look like or look at first. Then I hit my space bar, there it goes. Okay, and then you just keep going for your graphic organizer that way. So now I'm going to go back and make it look beautiful because this is very bland. So I'm going to go back to my very first slide. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to change the background. So I go right here. If you can't see background, chances are that you have clicked on something. When you click on something, it's going to show you options for words or for the text and stuff like that. So if you can't see it, you need to click off. So click on an empty space on your screen, and then you'll be able to see the background. And I'm going to go to color, and you can choose these plain colors. I really like the gradients. Gradient just means that it's not a solid color all the way through. It's just got variations, and I really like blue, so we'll go with this like teal color. And then I'm going to hit add to, or I'm going to hit done. So now I've got this beautiful backdrop and it looks a little bit better. But now I want to change the color of my graphic or of my table because I don't like the black on it. So I'm going to change it to white. And I'm going to make those lines nice and thick. And I'm actually going to make them a little interesting. I'm going to make them dotted like that. Oh, no, I don't like that. I might make them like that. Whatever you want, you can do it that way. Okay? So that's just some options. I am going to keep it solid because none of them really would work for a graphic organizer. but you can mess around with it like that. And then you can adjust the color fonts all that way. So that's how you make a presentation with them on the same slide, and you could just mess with them all the different colors that you wanted. And if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to me. My name is Corey Garcia at Jake Lynn Edwards. Thank you very much for watching this tutorial.